The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending our bulk mailer for Postalsoft users. We will get started here in just a couple minutes. We want to give everybody an opportunity to still log on. So we'll start at 3 minutes past the hour. As a quick reminder, you'll be able to ask questions in the chat box down at the bottom right-hand corner. And we'll be trying to answer those questions throughout the demonstration, plus that'll serve as a cue for our Q&A at the end of the session. We'll be back on in just a couple minutes. Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started again. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for attending our webinar today, bulk mailer for Postalsoft users. I want to remind everybody again before we get started that you can ask questions down in the dialog box on the bottom right-hand side, and we will try to answer those throughout the webinar or get to those at the Q&A session. So I want to quickly introduce the team presenting today. I'll be hosting Mark Rubin, your Director of the Desktop Solutions here at Satori Software. And then assisting me and delivering the meat and potatoes of our presentation today will be Randy Walker, our Solutions Engineer. Jim Golden is actually on the line as well. He's going to try to answer those questions as you type them in, and Jim is the participant and a member of our technical support team. So you may get some responses from Jim. Really quickly, our agenda for today. We want to welcome you, as we have done, and we'll talk a little bit more about welcoming you in just a second. And then we'll talk a little bit about why to choose bulk mailer. I'll then turn over the presentation to Randy, and he'll talk about the differences in terms between the Business Edition product and bulk mailer. Then he'll follow it up with a live demonstration of our bulk mailer product. He'll then address activating the intelligent mail. That's a hot topic coming up here. And we'll follow it up with some conclusion and then the Q&A session. So many of you were on our first presentation in November, and we want to extend our welcome home to you, to Satori Software, your place for transitioning between the end-of-life situation that you're facing with the bulk mailer, or with the SAP Business Edition. And before we get into a little bit more detail about bulk mailer, I wanted to give you a little history of Satori Software. So some of this might be repetitive from the previous session, but I want to go back and touch on it again. Satori's been delivering mailing solutions for 30 years now. In 2009, we were acquired by Neopost, but we operate as an independent subsidiary today. We've increased and continue to be extreme advocates of our customer base within the USPS community. And there's a lot of continual development and investment in the mailing solution marketplace. So we'll continue to go into that market space, develop, invest, so that we can deliver you the best solutions possible. So why choose our bulk mailer product? The statement there, it's easy to use, it's for all mailers of all levels. We have unparalleled support and investment in the mailing solutions. So to expand on why our star is shining bright in the desktop mailing space, the investment that we have is both in the form of acquisitions and our organic development. As many of you know, we have acquired the technology for the pre-sort engines from SAP, and many of you may not know that we made an announcement about a week and a half ago, and we've acquired Monticello Software to fulfill our line and have the post-pre-sort software tied into the back end. We'll continue to look at and make investments in other potential acquisitions or partnerships. And as far as end-of-life experience, we have worked with other partners in the industry who are consolidating and divesting. Last year, we worked with Indicia as they exited the marketplace with their envelope manager product. So we've been down this path before. So on the organic development side, we continue to put new things in the product and evaluate it all the time. There's a couple examples, data services, which Randy will show you really quickly today, and also the Easy Track component. He'll allude to that a little bit. Really what it amounts to is we are designing a solution with you, the mailer, in mind. And lastly, another reason why bulk mailers become popular is the company's stance as far as being an advocate in its involvement in the USPS community. So we have members such as Kim Mock, who is our postal guru, and she's involved in changing the TEM process with the USPS for the purpose of helping you deliver the IMB in full service in the future. She's an MTAC attendee. We also have Corey Smith, our VP of Production Mail, who serves on the MFSA board, and we're also active in local PCCs and Postcom and anything that we can do within the industry to serve on your behalf. So from a product perspective, the three solutions that we have for you within the bulk mailer family start with our business package, our professional, and our standard. Most of you are going to fall somewhere in the business to professional category, and we can help assess which one makes the most sense for you and get you into that package. So when we talk a little bit more about why people like bulk mailer, what makes it a superior mailing product in the industry? Well, first, we have our customers to tell us that. We have over 5,000 customers today, and we're continuing to grow at a very good rate. The product is designed to be very simply powerful. We talk a lot about ease of use. At the same time, we want to make sure that it's still robust and has all the features and powers you need to accomplish your goal of pre-sort and mailing for you and your customers. When we design the software, we do think about you in mind. So we want to know and think about who is using the software, how do you use it, and what is it used for. One of the examples that Randy will spend some time on is the integration of NCOA. So you'll see how NCOA seamlessly fits inside bulk mailer, and it creates a streamlined user experience, much easier for you to use, much more efficient, much more effective. So training and support is another cornerstone at Satori. We have a ton of access for you to training and support, whether it be through our support banner or our learn banner. And we'll talk a little bit later on about some of those resources that are available to you. I think most important is Satori has a lot of passionate people here who want to solve solutions for you within the mailing marketplace. And I continue and will always ask, if you're interested to come to Seattle, see our facilities, sit down with us, talk about your business requirements here in person, we are happy to have you. You're all invited. If not, please let us know if you'd like us to come see you. We would be happy to sit down and have those conversations. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Randy. He's going to discuss the transitions, the key terms, and get into the demo. So Randy, take it away.
Thank you, Mark. And I want to take a second to thank all of you as well for joining today's webinar. And then I'm going to dive into the key terminology in between the two products, and then I'm going to follow that up with a product demonstration where you should find making the transition to bulk mailer rather easy. So you'll see on the screen here we have terms for some of the common tasks that you'll use during or throughout the course of your mailing. For example, a job in Postalsoft where you actually import records in and do stuff with is known as mailings within bulk mailer. Postalsoft term correct address is referred to as address correction within bulk mailer, and I'll get into some of these terminologies as I'm giving the demo as well. Extended services, that's where you're used to going for your NCOA and data services through Thornton and Peachtree. That is now going to be referred to in bulk mailer as move updates and data services, which again is integrated directly right in our process, our program with real-time NCOA. Record select or select by criteria is referred to as groups in bulk mailer. That's how you're going to group your records or filter your records in order to do a pre-sorted mailing. Load plan or load information, that is directly related to templates in bulk mailer, and you'll see that bulk mailer is very much template driven. We don't like to recreate the wheel whenever possible. Find duplicates is also referred to as duplication search in bulk mailer, and also merge purge for some of you out there. Sort for mailing is referred to as mail sort, and lastly print labels is referred to as print mail in bulk mailer. So now here's the side-by-side comparison of the screenshots that I put together, which demonstrate selecting a file. Within bulk mailer, all the files are available on the home screen, and you would access them by double-clicking on the selected file that you would like to work with. Within Postalsoft, you're used to going up to the file and open it through the file system. Importing records. Importing records works very similar as you're used to in Postalsoft. The key difference here is that we use a visual chain link to map the fields that you have selected, as well as on the right-hand side put the source of the column name next to the associated bulk mailer field, rather than the lines that would link them together, as you see on the screen here. Correcting addresses. This is very similar as well. You'll see that we have the same feature set as Postalsoft. Everything is going to be CAS certified, delivery point validated, sweet link, and LAC link, pretty much industry standard. Pre-sorting, we take a similar approach as well. We have a step-by-step wizard that will guide you through selecting all the attributes to a specific mailing and enable you to get those discounts at the post office. Reporting. Our elegant reporting engine produces easy-to-read PDFs, allowing acceptance personnel to find key information quickly, saving you time at the post office. Printing of labels. Again, this is a similar fashion. However, the approach we take is vastly different to the way that Postalsoft has created their label designer. I think you'll find our label designer to be a little more elegant and very much walk you through setting up the various mail piece and if you need labels as well. And now let's get into a product demonstration, and let me show you how bulk mailer works. Okay, before I actually dive into a product demonstration, I wanted to talk a little bit about updates and how you update directories within bulk mailer versus how you're used to a Postalsoft. We refer to the directory updates as actual updates to the software, and we send those out on a bi-monthly basis rather than the monthly basis you're used to. One of the key differences here, though, is we offer online address validation, which will give you access to the latest data files from the post office automatically. You don't have to do that monthly maintenance. We also have a monthly option as well, but again, we have that information available for you online, thus eliminating the overhead of monthly maintenance. So the home screen. This is where when you open bulk mailer, this is where you're going to land, and here you'll see in the middle you have the bulk mailer files. So open one, you just double click on it and it'll open the mailing. Down here at the bottom, this is going to be just where you go to, or much like you would in Postalsoft, to access your reports. So down here I can click on a reprint report for any one of the mailings, and I get multiple reports too. So we store history about mailings for if you have reoccurring jobs, you can go back at any time and see the history and get access to previous reports. Down here in the bottom left-hand corner is our data details pane. This is where you can look at any time to see what is going on with the file, what the current count is, which is the records you're going to affect, the groups, which is also referred to as record select or select by criteria in Postalsoft, and then the total count of the mailing that you have open. And right now you can see I don't have any mailing open at this point. And then you have this navigation bar that is more of a linear approach. You start at the home screen, then you import records, and I'll show you how this kind of the workflow works within bulk mailer. So getting started, I'm going to go ahead and double click on the new mailing wizard. This is going to bring up our step-by-step wizard, which will help you create a file. So I'll click next, and at this point I have an option to where I can either create a blank mailing file, or I can create a file and use an import template to import the data directly into that file, much as how you would load a plan. I'm just going to create a blank bulk mailing file, call it demo, and hit enter. At this point, I've created a file. You see it show up in the home screen, bold. You also see it down here in the bottom under mailing called demo. Now I'm going to go ahead and import records into this file. You'll notice, however, as I was creating that file, I didn't have an option to define what the field lengths were for that file. This is because bulk mailer during the import process will auto-expand the fields as necessary for you, eliminating the truncate of any of the data. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the import wizard here to define a new import template. However, you'll notice I have a few import templates here. So if I have recurring customers, I have predefined templates that I can use and import their data really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click next on the welcome screen here and select a file. You do have the ability to import Postalsoft job files directly into bulk mailer at this time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and import a job file that I've created in Business Edition for us right here. Also, we have the ability to import in various different types of files, text files, access files, DBase, even XML files. I'm going to go ahead and select that file and click next. And now we get to the mapping screen, and you can see that bulk mailer has evaluated the source fields, found out that the first row has the field names in it, and has auto-mapped and associated the fields to the appropriate fields in bulk mailer. If it didn't have the field names for the first row, you would see that there would be nothing mapped like this. I'm going to go ahead and go through mapping and show you how it works here. So I'll just select the appropriate field, click next. You'll notice that we also have auto-incremented down to the next column for you, and it just so happens to line up in this file last name associated with last name. So now we have company is associated with business. I'll map that. You'll see here's first name or first address, second address, city, state, and zip code. So I've mapped up all the fields I want. You notice I didn't have to map all the fields. I can map just the appropriate fields. You have all the fields available in bulk mailer to map to. You don't have to define which fields you want to include in your file. They're all there and available for you within bulk mailer. So I'm going to click next. I have the ability to make this a template, so I'll go ahead and do that now. And finish. So now each time I wanted to import a Postalsoft job file, I have a template set up that will allow me to import that data directly and without having to go through the import wizard over and over again. Okay, so I've imported the records. Unlike Postalsoft, like you're used to, from the home screen, you can see the records in a record view there. You come to views within our software, and you have a detail view, which will give you kind of a record-by-record basis, or you can do a list view, which will give you more of an Excel-type spreadsheet view into the data. Here's where you can come to ensure that your data has been imported in correctly. You can make changes to records here if you would like as well. And you can define a custom view. So for example, we have a move update information where you can look at the new address and the old address after you're done with the NCOA process in our software. So I'm going to move down the navigation bar here to our address quality section. Here's where you have access to run address correction, the NCOA process directly within bulk mailer, duplication search, as well as merge, purge, and our data services add-on. So I'm going to start by opening up the address correction. And really what I'm doing here is just showing you all of the settings, much like you're familiar with on Postalsoft. However, within bulk mailer, it's unnecessary to run through the address correction, or it's optional at this point, because address correction is integrated directly in with NCOA through the move update. So you can run through both processes simultaneously and accomplish the same goal as address correction. So I'm going to click next during the welcome screen. Next path to sign in. We also have an ePath. So the first time you run through this, you're going to have to create an account. You'll go through the step-by-step wizard, entering in your information, and you can do an e-signature and get instant access to the NCOA through our software directly. On this screen, we have matching logic. We have the business, individual, and family. You can limit it down if you like. However, this first option is going to search for all moves possible through the NCOA department at the post office. If you have multiple names per record, down here you can choose to see how you would like to handle that as well. Defaults typically handle this type of thing the best. On this screen here, you have the ability to limit the 48-month database down to a specific range. However, we are a full service provider of that data, so we go back a full 4 years. Class of mailing. You have various class of mailings you can sort this for, or all really will cover all, whether you're doing a first class or a standard mail. Review of new addresses. Because of this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and show the review window. However, you can skip and automatically accept all moves when you're in a production environment. Again, address correction is applied during this process, so here's where you would come to format the various elements to your address, apply casings to the name and business field, determine if you want them all upper, lower, or mixed case. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and it's going to go through the real-time NCOA process. And while this is doing this, I had the opportunity to go on site and for one of our early Postalsoft to bulk mailer adopters. And it was kind of interesting because we got all the way to the NCOA portion of it. They uploaded the list, and at that point they're like, okay, we're done at this point. And at that point I was able to give a complete walkthrough to the portion where we were about to print the mail after pre-sorting and running through NCOA, all in the time it took for Lorton to process the same data that we were able to do just in that one section. So the review window is up here. This is coming back with the results. We have the original address, the after the address correction portion is done, the new address, and also what information has happened. So this was a business type move back in 2010. So I can accept these one by one. There's 20 of them. I'm just going to go ahead and accept all of them. And at this point, I also wanted to let you know that there's no need to merge the data back in. The data has already been merged with your file automatically. I'll view these reports for you. We have the address correction or the CAST summary report here. And then we have the NCOA link, which is your move update processing summary report. I'll go ahead and close this. Now that we processed through move update, the next thing I want to do is I want to do a duplication search. So I'm going to go through the duplication search and explain how this works a little bit. So again, we use templates in this section as well, much like you're used to for loading a plan or loading information. I'm just going to go ahead and use an exact address match to first name and last name and click Next. So you'll see I have the check mark selected for zip code, address line, use last name, and use first name, both set to exact. I could make it loose if I would like. However, I want to do an exact match here. We have the ability to search up to 4 additional fields. So if you were to import user-specific information in the user text fields, for example, of an account ID or something, you can do a search there for that as well. Group processing. This is where you're going to sort records. We give you some options for sorting the records if you're importing multiple lists into a bulk mailer file. Group records. You can group records or group action. You can delete the records or you can mark them for deletion. Deleting the records, I just wanted to point out, doesn't actually delete the records out of the file permanently. You have an option to recover them if you've made a mistake. Apply action to. This is much like the way that Postalsoft works. This all but first record and group will keep one unique record for any of the duplicates that it's found in your file. I have an option to save this as a new template if I would like, if I made changes here. However, I'm going to go ahead and hit finish and search through the list. Okay, it's found one. I'm going to review that. In fact, it is an exact duplicate. So I'm going to go ahead and just process all or process this one group and close out of that. And now I'm done with the duplication search. Due to time constraints, I'm going to skip over the merge purge. However, we do have information available on our website if you would like to look into our merge purge in depth. Data services, I'm going to touch on data services here. This is where you're going to go get access for the DSF squared. You're going to be able to process through what we call ECOA or enhanced change of address. Essentially, that is proprietary information that's outside of the USPS, in addition to finding moves to the NCOA link. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in here. And you can see the services that we provide. We provide head of householding, apartment number append. So if you have records that have been identified as missing or having an invalid apartment number, that is a way that you can try to complete those addresses. Again, the ECOA, which is going to search third-party data such as magazine and newspaper subscription, utility bills, that type of thing. You have access to the DSF squared file for walk sequencing, so you can come right here and walk sequence your list as well. And then we have a suppression suite, which will allow you access to the do not mail, the deceased, and the correctional facility list. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this and move on. Groups. Group section is much like that record select or select by criteria. You can define custom criteria here, or you can use one of our predefined criteria. I'm just going to go ahead and double click on the corrected records list here. And open that. It says that I've selected 1969. Those are the records that have passed address correction and are going to, they are confirmed deliverable by the post office as being a valid address. Moving right along to the mail sort section. Here's where you can define templates for common types of mailings that you're going to do as well. So you don't have to recreate the wheel. Templates, again, are much like a load plan in Postalsoft. And so in here, what I'm going to do is just open up one of the templates that we have and show you the step-by-step approach we take to doing postal pre-sorting. Intelligent mail, we are both basic and full service compliant, so you'd want to make sure you select intelligent mail here. This section is a little different as well. So you're going to start out by picking your sort class and piece type, whether it be a first class letter, periodical, or standard mail. One of the things I like about this section is when you select the different types of mail pieces, you'll see that this legend over here changes, so it'll help and take out any of the guesswork on what type of piece it is that you're trying to mail out. So at this time, I'm just going to select the standard mail letter and continue on. You're going to enter in your mail piece dimensions here, your height, width, thickness, and weight. Although we have this select mail piece here, so we have all of those defined for you, or the common mail pieces. So you can just find yours out of the list here, select it, and we will populate the proper dimensions of that mail piece for you. Your mail drop zip code, that's where you're going to take the mail to the post office. Your mailing date is defined here, your job ID if you have one, as well as your statement number. Your permit information is stored in the screen as well. So let me go ahead and open up this permit that I have and show you how that works. So you get this nice little wizard that's going to walk you through setting up your templates, put in your permit number, what type of permit you're using, the issuing post office, that type of thing. So this screen is where you're going to put in your contact information, including your customer registration ID and your mailer ID to be Intelligent Mail barcode compliant. You can save this as your new template and hit finish. So at this point, I'm going to click next. Mail.dat information, you'll enter the appropriate mail.dat information here, and we will generate mail.dat files through the pre-sort wizard. We also have mail.xml, which will allow you to submit files directly to the Postal One through our software. I'll explain that in a little more detail as I go along. Sort levels. So this is similar as in Postalsoft, with one main difference is pallets is down here. We have a bunch of options for our pallets. So you're going to come in and you're going to create your pallets. You can set minimums and maximums, what type of pallets you would like to create, a tear weight for your pallet, that type of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and select using tray-based pallets and click finish. Automation, non-automation, this is a drip system much like you're used to. Here's where you come select carrier out walk sequence. If you want to our walk sequence append, you can do automation, simplified addressing, that type of thing. The intelligent mail settings, this is where you're going to set some of the intelligent mail options. So we have ACS you can turn on for your service type indicator here. Full service, if you wanted to do full service mail, we will sequence it for you automatically using your mailer ID. We also have the ability to obtain confirmed sequence numbers directly through the pre-sort option here. So if I enabled Easy Track, what it'd do is it would reach out and it would grab some unique sequence numbers that you could use for tracking the mail through the confirmed service at the post office. We offer a very elegant website that will allow for mail tracking. In here, you can also choose to upload additional information if you would like. We have business and address, contact information, or you can upload additional information such as an account ID to track mail pieces through the mail stream that way as well. So I'm going to go ahead and disable Easy Track, leave the full service on, click Next. Eligibility discounts, here's where you're going to come in and put in your eligibility discounts. I'm going to drop it at the SCF. Plant verified drop shipment. This is included with the pre-sort engine as well. And in here, you'll see that we have this broken down by SCFs and NDCs. Another feature that I like about bulk mailers, we have this analyze list. So you can analyze the list and quickly see where pieces are going, so you can find out if it's going to make sense to drop at the different SCFs or NDCs for your drop shipment. So uncheck that, click Next. Here's your tray label or your container label layout. You'll notice that by default the intelligent mail container is selected. You can pick your container labels here, or if you don't see one in the list, you can define your own custom layout as well. Put in the information for your company that's going to show up on the labels. Click Next. Oh, I need to select the layout. Click Next. I can save this as a template and click Finish. It's important to note that these templates can be applied to any bulk mailer file. As long as you have a file open, you can apply a template and use that information predefined. You don't have to recreate the wheel each time. Okay, so I've sorted this mail, and now I'm to the report section. So I'm going to go ahead and preview these reports. This first report here is an optional report that we generate. This has all of the settings in the pre-sort wizard that you have selected, so you can quickly go back and see what attributes you have selected for the mail in case there's any question later. This is the second page of that. And we get to the postage statement. Here's our standard mail postage statement with all the appropriate information filled out. The second page of that. The qualification report. This is the blueprint of your mailing that you're going to take to the post office as well. Second page. And then we get into the container labels. Here's your intelligent mail container labels. And if we had pallets, the pallets would show up on here as well. You'd see your pallet placards after the container labels. The mail was only 2,000 pieces. It wasn't eligible for a pallet. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. Close the mail sort progress. And now I'm ready to print my mail. So at this time I'm going to go to the print mail section. I could use one of the predefined print mail that has been already set up for me, or I can define a new one. And at this point what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this wizard twice because this is where I feel it's vastly different than Postalsoft. I'm going to go through setting up an envelope the first time, and then I'm going to come back and set up labels the second time. So double click on the print mail wizard here. Get the welcome screen. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. So now we have template types. You can select labels, sheets, or continuous to print to your Avery labels here, or Avery type labels. We have envelopes, graphical output, and then for some of the older printers we have the plain text output as well. However, I'm going to go through the graphical output. I'm going to click Next. Here's where you can select what type of printer you have, whether it be a laser inkjet or a direct impression. You'll notice most of the common printers here for mailing. Also, when I select one, you can see that it's defined the mechanism as a fixed head printer, and then you can define how many print heads you have with that. If you had a shovel head printer, it would give you the shuttle head type printer for that as well. And then you can move on. At this point, I'm just going to use a laser or inkjet and click Next. I define what type of mail piece it is that I'm printing to. If I don't see one in this predefined list here, I can create my own custom with the new envelope layout. I'm going to go ahead and select the number 10 for this mailing and click Next. Now I can define what type of address block I place on the mail piece. So I can either create a blank one or one of these predefined. I'm going to start out with adding an address block with a barcode, and the barcode type is going to be the intelligent mail. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next. I can give this a name for reuse later if I'd like, and hit Finish. At this point, this is how our templates are created. So I'm going to bring the address block down. We are what you see is what you get type printing software. And so now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to customize this piece. So in order to add a field into the address block, I'm going to double click on it. And I'm going to start by adding maybe the sort position and tray number just for demonstration purposes here. So I hit Enter, created a new line in the address block. Up here is how you're going to access our database fields. So you click on that icon and then click back down in the mail piece where you want to add the appropriate field. You'll see you get a list of all of our fields that are available. I'm going to go ahead and pick the sort position and click Add. And at this point I'm going to put a little hyphen in between there and put in the tray number. And click Add. Okay, so I've added the sort position and tray number. Up here in the upper left is the toggle between preview mode and design view. So you can see that it has 1 of 1. I'll kind of go through. You can see 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be a sequential number to the end of the list. One of the things I find is people like to print in reverse order. So we have these buttons up here to toggle between reverse and forward order of the mailing as well. Go back to design view. If I wanted to add a return address or maybe an indicia, I can do that by clicking on this text button here, and I can add static text. And at this point, I can put in a return address. And I could do the same thing for an indicia. We have a lot of information available on our website as far as all the features and options of the label designer. So at this point, what I'm going to do is close this one, go through creating a label for you, and show you how that's done, and then move on from there. So I'm going to save the changes that I've made to this template. It shows up, and now I can use that in future. So I'm going to double-click on the pre-sort wizard again, and I'll click Next. Here I'm going to pick the labels, sheets, or continuous this time. I can pick my appropriate printer. Again, I'm going to use the LaserJet that I have selected. Click Next. You'll see we get a bunch of Avery labels here, so I can pick an appropriate Avery label if I'd like, or I can define my own custom label if I had different type of stock. So at this point, I'll just go ahead and select this 5162, click Next, and now you see I get that same screen, so I'm going to add the address block with a barcode, the intelligent mail, click Next. I could define this as a template if I would like, and hit Finish. So at this point, I get a label list view of the records when I go to preview mode. In preview mode, again, you have the ability to print in reverse order. We also have Z order, in order, and cut stack if you wanted to do cut stack type label printing. I mentioned early on through the pre-sort wizard that you could submit mail.xml files directly through our software to Postal One. You'll go into the submit section, and here's where you're able to submit mail.xml files rather than generation of mail.dat files. You can do the mail.xml directly right here. Tracking, this is where you would come to, if you've enabled Easy Track, you could come in here and view either a by mailing report, or you can go in and do a per piece lookup and define some custom reporting. So now that I've got through the mailing all the way to the pre-sort and printing of mailing, I want to talk about the job builder for a minute. The job builder is a section where you can take all the templates that I've just created, and you can automate reoccurring mailing. So if I had a customer who was doing a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly mailing with me, I could set them up and have this an automated template. So if I open up this job here, you can see that it's going to create a new mailing. It's going to import in maybe their new mailing list this time. It's going to run move update. It's going to group the records by the all corrected. It's going to sort the mail, and lastly print it. So I'm going to go ahead and just right click on that, run this job, and you can see that it's going to go through and automate all the tasks that I just spent the last 20 minutes going through. So as it's going through the move update process, you'll see that everything has been streamlined. It's imported the records, it's processed through the move update, and now it's going to sort the mail, and it's going to drop me right on the print screen to where now I can quickly print this mail and have those reoccurring jobs streamlined with our job builder process. It's going to give me a report. I'm going to go ahead and close that. And that concludes the demonstration of our bulk mailer product. So lastly, I'm going to talk about activating the intelligent mail. We have some pre-recorded intelligent mail webinars that you can visit our website if you need additional information. However, the basic steps are you're going to enter your mailer ID into our permit section of the mail sort wizard. You're going to choose the intelligent mail barcodes throughout the pre-sort process. You're going to either use mail.dat or mail.xml to submit your documentation to the post office. And lastly, you're going to test through the testing environment for mailers at the post office. And now I'm going to hand it over to Mark to conclude the rest of this webinar.
Thanks, Randy. Before we move into the conclusion and the Q&A session, I did want to talk a little bit about our extended resources. So you can certainly visit our support section, and it's off the main website. And within that, you have access to log in and register for classes. There's training classes every Tuesday and Friday. We have express demos, so if you're in a specific section of the software and you forgot how to use it, you can go and grab that specific section, and there's a little video clip on it. There's also tech notes that are available for those unique situations that we try to write on. And most importantly, there's on the website the ability for you to go and submit feature requests. That's also available in our software inside of Bulk Mailer. But on the website you can do that, and it's really important, and I encourage you that if you find something that's missing or that you don't know about or that you'd like to see inside a Bulk Mailer that maybe exists in your current software, go to that site and submit that feature request and put that you're a Postalsoft user. That'll help us understand what you're looking for and put you in a specific group so we know which users it is. And then we can then respond and collect that requirement. For more learning opportunities, you can go into our Learn section, and there you can see live recordings of webinars in the past and sign up for other webinars that we'll have down the road. Randy mentioned some things related to the IMB. Those sometimes start as webinars. We have a lot of those going on constantly, and so you can sign in or sign up and then watch those at your leisure. An example that we have here is you can actually download the guide to the intelligent mail to follow up on Randy's conversation regarding the IMB. Okay, so to sum everything up, welcome again to the Satori Software family. I hope that you understand that we do have subject matter experts here that are trained, and we can help you facilitate your transition between the SAP product and Bulk Mailer. And a couple other points I wanted to mention before we move into the Q&A. Just remember that we have the 3 versions. They're tailored for you. We can help you assess which one makes the most sense. Our goal is to make sure this product is simple to use, easy to use, powerful, and robust enough for all the activities that you may need it for. Our investment in the community and the mailing industry is continuing to grow. And we definitely want to make sure that you're successful through this transition. So if you need any resource to help you, please contact us, whether it be support, whether it be sales, and we'll make sure to get the proper folks on the phone to help you. So with that, we're going to open up our Q&A session. Again, please enter any questions. I've seen a lot of questions going into the system. Please make sure those questions are entered into the dialog box down the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And before we answer any of those questions, I do remind you again and provide you the information regarding how to contact our support department. I'll follow up here in a couple slides after the Q&A and give you the sales information. But support can be reached at support@satorisoftware.com, and they'll respond to your emails, kind of similar to what Jim's doing online. And then the phone number to dial them directly is 800-357-3020. So we'll jump over and take a look at some of your questions. Okay. One of the questions, does Bulk Mailer support my printer? If your computer can print to a printer, Bulk Mailer should have the ability to print to pretty much any device that acts as a printer. If you have specific devices that you have question or trouble with, the tech support team does a fantastic job of actually getting into printers. They understand them pretty well, and they do a fantastic job of going in and making sure that they can push to get that printer driving from the software.
Another question we have is, will Bulk Mailer software be able to handle large files, 250,000 records and greater, and still able to do the NCOA process and standardization? The short answer to that is yes. We have 3 different flavors of bulk mailer depending on your needs, file sizes. For example, the standard edition is for mailers that are up to 5,000 mailing pieces per mailing. The bulk mailer professional definitely will handle 250,000 records at a time. And if you need more robust, then we get into the bulk mailer business, which will handle a vast more amount of records than that.
There was a question about what did I mean by post-pre-sort software. So Monticello, our recent acquisition, produces a software called Mail.db, and it's focused on after the sort, being able to go back into that sort and do activities associated after a sort's complete so that you can then optimize your mailing. How do we send lists to a text file instead of directly to a printer? So Randy touched on it a little bit. You can do exporting at any point. So once you're completed, you can go back. There was the import. Doing an export is the reciprocal process, so you can export it out. You can export all the data you need and user-defined fields and whatever you need, and then you can take that into a variable graphic software or directly to a printer, depending on what your setup is.
Important note there is that you can include the intelligent mail barcode on the export feature. You can also put the sort position to where when you do a mail merge, you can order it in a sorted order as well.
So there was a question about on the import, do we automatically identify the fields? And Randy did demonstrate that, so I want to just bring that back up. When you do import a file into bulk mailer, it does look to automatically identify those field names and map them directly over to an associated field in bulk mailer.
Another question we have here is, does bulk mailer run on all operating systems, Windows 7, etc.? The answer to that is anything from Windows XP, SP3 up to Windows 7 we support currently, and Windows 8 is coming soon.
Do you send a CD disc for the update? It's actually a DVD, just so you know. And we send those out monthly. We also have the option, if you would like to do an electronic download. Just need to let us know and we'll get that set up for you.
There was a question if we could import DBF files into bulk mailer. I did go ahead and demonstrate that as well. And the advantage to importing in your existing job files is that it comes with the column headers, and so bulk mailer will be able to auto-identify and map those fields for you, making that an easy, streamlined process.
There's a question about error codes associated when a address correction is done. So we do present you with the ability to, at the end of an address correction, you can go and look at individual records that have errors. It will present you the codes. Those are the data associated with those codes. The code and the description are available, so you have both. So there's actually, besides just having a code and trying to find it someplace, you can actually see the description associated with it in the software. And then you can use the groups to filter those out. So if you choose not to send those out, if there's an error associated with them, you can do that. If you want to export them out and get them to a customer and have them review them, you can also do that via the groups and then a quick export. There was a question about spending some more time on Merge Purge. And if you're interested in seeing Merge Purge, please at the end of the session, I'll cover this again, we have a survey at the end. And we ask you what you might be interested in seeing. If you're all interested in seeing a Merge Purge demo, we can do that. I would encourage you to contact your sales rep directly and set that up. Merge Purge can take quite a bit of time to demonstrate depending on what you're trying to get accomplished. And everybody's interpretation of Merge Purge and requirements are usually different. So we might handle it in a different way depending on what your requirements are. And there's also some additional tools outside of bulk mailer that may be relevant if necessary that we have. So please just let us know, and we'll try to get a sales rep aligned with you and do that demonstration ad hoc. All right.
I see a question here if there's an API version available or appended to bulk mailer. We have an API version. It's not bulk mailer. It's called Mailroom Toolkit, and that's more robust. It's really the pre-sort engine, the CAS, the NCOA, that can be automated and integrated into your existing software. If you were looking for more of an integrated solution, I would encourage you to contact a sales rep here at Satori Software to find out more information as how our APIs work.
There's some questions about cost of the additions and whatnot, and what I would encourage you to do, we've set up a special program for the conversion. So some of the traditional costs that we have, MSRP, are not applicable to you folks. So if you've got a specific requirement, please contact your sales rep and they'll give you the pricing information. It's also important to note that we are partnered with your Satori prime resellers that you're used to, the old master dealers, so they also are there to help facilitate those conversations and answer any questions that you have related to the additions and pricing.
There's another question here. If we run more than one PC, will we need an additional license? That's a very good question, and the reason why I say that is because our bulk mailer business edition, it supports client server, so you can have multiple clients logged into the same server. You can do work sharing that way. Also, updates are centralized at that, and they automatically propagate to the client, so there's no need to walk around to multiple instances of the software and update each one. You have a centralized point of updates.
Question about which demo was used, which version of the software was used for this demonstration. That was actually Bulk Mailer Professional. However, when you look at both products, or all three products, sorry, they all look and feel exactly the same. Our goal is to make sure that the interface, the GUI, is exactly the same, with some exceptions, specifically in Bulk Mailer Business, where you would go into some different templates that give you some advanced functionality. But as far as usability, there's really no learning curve between any of the additions. Once you learn one, it's completely transferable to the other. There's just some small exceptions in the bulk mailer business, very minor, but once you have the feel for it, you really don't need to spend a lot of time on it. We can help educate you on those things when necessary. There's a question about when you do submit feature requests, how long does it take to get them implemented? That's an important question, and I want to address that because what we do, just so you know, what we do is we take all the requests that you guys put in and we evaluate every single one of them. And it's our goal to make sure that we go through it and see what it would take to do that and see what the majority of requests are. So we want to address the ones that are coming in bulk for a specific topic first and evaluate the merit on those. That doesn't mean that if one request comes in that's a fantastic idea that maybe one person came up with that we don't look at that. We definitely do. But we want to address the majority needs first, in particular if it's a core functional thing that we think is appropriate to get in as soon as possible. And then it just becomes a matter of how quickly can we get it in. Sometimes they could be in the next edition. Sometimes they take a little longer. It just depends on the development effort associated with that particular request. So I think we've actually run out of time for questions. So we're going to wrap up here, and we'll do our best to get to you with the unanswered questions. We'll follow up with you afterwards. I know Jim's been actively typing and answering these questions to you individually, so I think most of you have answers to all of your questions, but we will follow up with you afterwards. Make sure that you've got the answer you need and you understand any answers that we've provided up to this time. So again, I want to thank you all for attending. We really appreciate your attendance. I encourage you to take the short survey and let us know how we did. That'll help us improve these in the future. And specifically, if there is a topic that you'd like us to address in another webinar, such as maybe Merge Purge, please list that. It could be Merge Purge, Easy Track, whatever topic you're interested in. It doesn't have to be necessarily a product specific, but it could be IMB. We're happy to take that information and we can put something together, and we'll let you know and invite you all. This session was recorded, and it will be available on the website. We'll follow up with an email with some links for you and information within the next few days. So I know one of you joined late, and that's not a problem. You'll be able to just grab this, download it, watch it. There's also other webinars available in the Learn section. As I had mentioned before, they're in the archive section under under our Learn banner, and you can go there and grab those as well. As I mentioned before we conclude, I did want to give you guys a view of the sales territories and their phone numbers so that you know who is your prime contact here. The 800 numbers down in the bottom left-hand corner to generic sales address, and then the 3 team members that are working with you in their geographic areas. Feel free to contact any of these individuals, and they will help get you what you need. They are, again, aligned very closely with the 3 Satori prime resellers that you're familiar with working with in the past, the old master dealers, and they can contact those folks and work on a solution together for you. So with that, I want to thank you again once more. Please have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you on another webinar in the future. Thanks again.